Jane Goodall died today. It's October 1st, 2025. I'm not sure what exactly she died from. I literally just saw the news on my phone and I had to stop to say something about her. For me, I would say that she's the closest thing there was to a religious figure in my life or a role model. I'm sure I don't have to tell anyone this. If you know who I am, you know who Jane Goodall was. But just a quick refresher on her life. She started her career as a scientist. She was researching chimpanzees, and all she did, she had this new idea. I'm just going to go sit with them in the wild and observe them. I'll let them get comfortable with me, and then I'll observe their actual natural behavior. She just went out there into the forest with a notepad and a pencil, and she just started taking notes. That was it. She learned a bunch of really amazing things, things that blew our minds. She was the first to observe tool use and tool production in the wild by a non-human species, or at least she was the first to document it in a way that the scientific community actually accepted it. People didn't believe her at first. It was too spectacular of a story, but National Geographic ended up sending out a photographer to go join her and document this stuff with her, and sure enough, it can no longer be denied. Not only did they document tool making and all sorts of wonderful things about chimpanzee behavior, they also documented chimpanzee wars. She was one of the early scientists to push home the point that we and our neighboring species, we have an instinct for violence that we have to understand and we have to accept and we have to deal with. At some point in her career, and I don't know the timeline of it, but at some point in her career, she switched from being a scientist to being an activist. And I do know what triggered this. She was at a conference and they were learning about how chimpanzees are treated in medical research. And she came out of that meeting different. I've never met her or worked with her directly on any projects. I've never emailed her. I never had correspondence with her. But when I was working at the Portland Zoo, and I used to volunteer there, I used her protocol watching chimp behavior. That's my one little connection to Jane Goodall. I'd spend hours watching the chimps at the zoo and using little notes that she had told us to use. You'd mark down signs of irritation, signs of gentle interaction, signs of aggressive interaction, and so on. We did this systematically using her protocol, and that information was then sent to her organization, which I'm not even sure what they were doing. They were trying to understand better, I guess, the impact of captivity on chimpanzee behavior. David Shepardson was an animal behaviorist at the Portland Zoo, and he was very interested in this to try to make their enclosures better to reduce stress in the animals. Just a couple of days ago, I happened to watch a speech she gave on Peace Day, which is something I didn't even know was a thing. But I guess there's a Peace Day, and she's involved in it every year. She gave a speech. I don't know when it was recorded. I don't know if it's the most recent thing she'd ever made, but it's the most recent thing that I have seen that Jane Goodall made. And I want to just share with you a couple of clips from that talk. Jane started this organization called Roots and Shoots. And the point of this, it's kind of like Boy Scouts, but for environmental conservation. I mean, by the way, the Scouts is actually pretty good for that stuff too, but Roots and Shoots is specifically dedicated to caring about our environments. It's an organization that you can volunteer with. You just go to their website. I've got a link to it down in the video description. With that, here are the last words that I heard from Jane Goodall.
Hello, this is Jane Goodall. This year, the United Nations Day of Peace will be honored around the world, but in a world that is far from peaceful. There are major conflicts, genocide, household violence, human trafficking, violence against women, school shootings, and millions of people displaced from their homes because of war or climate change. In addition to this, there is an ongoing onslaught against nature. Think beyond conflict. Think to the world we all would love to live in. Because if we look at the whole picture, we're bound to feel hopeless and helpless. But once we realize that even small actions cumulatively can make a big difference, we can start taking action to make the world a better place. Today, many people have lost hope for the future, which, while not surprising, is awful, especially as many young people are really depressed. Suicide rates in some countries have gone up. The answer for all of us: take action. You may not be able to solve global problems, but there's a lot you can do to make this a more peaceful world, starting in your own community. Think about your own environmental footprint. Even small actions like saving water, moving towards a plant-based diet, helping in soup kitchens or animal shelters, raising money for the charity of your choice, or simply treating the people you meet with respect, treating animals with kindness. These are the kind of projects that our Roots and Shoots members are working on. Finally, it's so important to realize there can never be world peace until we can learn to live in harmony with nature as well as with each other. We all must work to slow down climate change and loss of biodiversity. Because, for example, if streams and rivers dry up, new wars will be fought over water. So, on this Peace Day, think about the actions you can take towards making this a kinder, more compassionate, and more peaceful world. Thank you.